Governor Greg Abbott not backing down, declaring his state has the right to self-defense after the Supreme Court ruled that the Biden administration can remove razor wire installed by the state's National Guard along the southern border. Abbott writing, quote, "I have already declared an invasion to invoke Texas's constitutional authority to defend and protect itself. That authority is the supreme law of the land and supersedes any federal statutes." The governor's fight against the Biden administration receiving support from at least 6 Republican governors so far, who are all announcing that they back his border actions. Georgia Congressman Mike Collins introducing legislation to ban the federal government from removing border barriers, while a group of Texas lawmakers are sending a letter to Attorney General Merrick Garland urging the administration to drop its lawsuits against the state. However, Texas Democrat Joaquin Castro is calling on President Biden to, quote, "establish sole federal control of the Texas National Guard now." He claims that Abbott is using the Guard to obstruct and create chaos at the border. Joining me now is Texas Congressman Randy Weber. He's a member of the House Freedom Caucus. Congressman, good morning to you, and thank you so much for being here. Quite a mess down at the southern border. Governor Abbott has a point and a right to defend his state from an invasion, yet he's receiving so much pushback. We're in an election year. This is a huge issue for the president and the border czar, who's completely ignored what's going on down there. Where does it go from here?
Jackie, you make a great point. We're in an election year. The hypocrisy is palpable when you had the vice president say Republicans want to run on this issue. The president has not been in control of the border for the last 3+ years, and all of a sudden, in election year, they're blaming Republicans. It's unbelievable. Governor Abbott has it exactly right, and I would even add this. We need to remember that the 13 colonies and the 13 states, if you will, created the federal government. The federal government did not create the states, and they have the right, the 10th Amendment, all rights go to the people and the states and the people respectively. It's unbelievable that the Democrats don't get that.
In the lawsuit, it's a convoluted argument that went up to the Supreme Court. The administration is arguing that basically Border Patrol can't do its job because of the razor wire. Supreme Court says, well, this is an ongoing litigation, so temporarily speaking, don't cut it down. But, you know, you got to look at the commander in chief. You got to look at Kamala Harris and say, this has happened under your watch, and you've done nothing to fix this. I actually think they like the chaos. It makes it more complicated in the conversation. Congressman, President Trump has vowed to restore security to our border, our southern border, that is, and he says he'll continue to build that wall. Do you support that? Because a lot of voters that went to the polls do.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jackie, when I served in the Texas House of Representatives for 4 years, I was vice chairman of the Borders Committee back then, my second term. It was bad 2009 to 2012. It is so many times worse right now. You all talked about how this is going to impact Social Security, rightfully so. It also impacts our school districts. Think about it. Ballotpedia said there's 13,000 school districts in the country, average 3,500 students. In 1 month in December, you brought in 302,000 people. If 1/4 of those are children, kindergarten through 12, you just brought in 21 complete school districts. Somebody has to pay to educate. Guess who that somebody is? It's the American people.
Absolutely. And Congressman, you joined a group of bipartisan lawmakers touring the southern border, then visiting Mexico's president in Mexico City this past weekend. Tell us a little bit about the trip and what you discussed with President Obrador.
Well, it was a great trip with Michael McCaul, of course, chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee. He's from Texas, of course. We had a great conversation with them. We talked about economics, trade between the two countries. We talked about securing the border, the fact that they're increasing, they're sending a lot of people home on planes, and they're starting to up that. And we're talking about how we can work with them together so that we have the same policy to secure the border, stop them from coming through Mexico into the United States. And Biden and company don't get that. They've had 3.5 years to do something about it. President Trump was right on target when he instituted the Remain in Mexico policy. We talked with the president of Mexico. We talked with some of their cabinet members, and they're going to help us. They've agreed to that. You know, they've committed to that. So we'll see what's going. And it's not even election year. You know what I mean? For some of the cabinet members, they just know that we have to work on this together.
Todd, jump in.
Congressman, these notions from your colleagues, Joaquin Castro, Beto O'Rourke's not a colleague anymore, but Greg Casar, that the federal government should take over the Texas National Guard. When I hear that language really concerns me. One, from a what do they want to do with the Texas National Guard perspective, but the bigger picture, what is their ultimate goal when it comes to immigration? Are they approving of what Greg Abbott clearly identifies as an invasion? And if so, like, what is the end game for these people?
Well, obviously, they want the federal government to be the end-all, be-all, cure-all, and they want them to take care of people from cradle to grave, as we call it. And there's the term for that, socialism. It's unbelievable that they think the federal government should take control of the Texas National Guard. You know, Texas is the #1 exporting state in the country for many, many years. And so if what happens on the border is extreme, and Mexico's our #1 trading partner. We had that discussion with the Mexican government just a couple days ago. What happens on the border is extremely important. And the fact that Joaquin Castro, who I served in the Texas House with, wants the federal government, who's not doing its job so far, to take control of the Texas border and make it worse. And let me add, too, the Supreme Court got it wrong again. They got it wrong on African Americans could be counted 3/5 of citizens. They got it wrong on separate but equal bathrooms. They got it wrong, in my opinion, Roe v. Wade, it's okay to kill unborn children. Just the fact that the Supreme Court made this decision doesn't mean it's right. The states and the people have the rights are reserved to them. Read your Constitution.
Fair point.